And that slide had a 5.89 on it, said overall. Was that the background rate? I just want to understand what the background rate is for stillborn. Was it 3 to 5%? I just get clarification on that.
The what you said initially, the 5.89 is the background rate from the National Vital Statistics data.
Okay.
And the 3 to 5% was for birth defects.
So
Background rate.
So it's not showing that the vaccine is actually protective against these things. That's what I'm trying to get to. Is the rate lower among vaccinated in terms of stillborn and birth defect?
I will chime in. There is at least one systematic review and meta-analysis that has been done by Prasad et al. That does show a protective effect among those vaccinated against stillbirth, likely mediated through the prevention of COVID-19 illness. So because there is such a strong effect of illness on stillbirth, of infection on stillbirth, getting vaccinated does protect against that. And so there is some data to show that.
All right, and so that wasn't explicitly stated, so that's actually kind of interesting.
Agree.
Thank you, Dr. Daly.
Yeah, thanks so much. Could you pull up the slide in Dr. Carbanda's presentation? I think it was slide 26, which was a summary of the VSD safety and pregnancy studies. Yeah, that's great. So, Dr. Carbanda, this isn't a specific question for you. It's sort of a backdrop for a point that I want to make. So it would be hard to summarize any better what Dr. Paling just said. That's the most beautiful summary that I've heard. But I think the point that I want to make is that, you know, I think for pregnant women, these are complicated decisions, and they have a lot of things they're considering. One is their risk. Another is their individual risk, but often they're thinking risk to the pregnancy, and then how's their baby going to do? And I think in the context of that, at least what I have heard in talking to women is that they're most concerned about safety. They want to know, is it safe? And they're very risk averse. And so I think, and when these vaccines were first authorized, there was an acknowledgement, we have less data about safety, and that was an explicit acknowledgement. But I think we're in a really different place 2.5 years into the pandemic, and I think that to be able to articulate what's on the slide here and say the safety is being exhaustively studied and very reassuring, I would hope would provide reassurance and then increase vaccination rates. And so I guess my ultimate question is, I find this data very compelling, and I can't summarize it better than Dr. Paling, but how do we communicate this as broadly as possible so that we can increase coverage? Over.
Thank you, Dr. Daly. Dr. Long, do you have a way to frame that for us?
No, I wouldn't ever even try. But what I was thinking about is that we have very limited therapeutics for 0 to 5 month olds who have coronavirus infection. And so I would think that these data are very hopeful in us promoting this is the best way to protect your baby from death from coronavirus. And that's really impressive, and I hadn't seen this before, so it's startled me and is very hopeful. Do we know, Dr. Ellington, of the 0 to 5 month olds with hospitalization, ICU, and death, what percentage of their mothers were vaccinated? The data that you showed us, I think it was your slide 13. Well, I don't remember where it was.
Hi, Dr. Long. I can answer that question for you. In this particular data, we do not know the percent that were vaccinated in the COVID-net surveillance.
I didn't hear that. I'm sorry, my hearing problem. What percent of those babies who were hospitalized, mothers, were vaccinated?
We don't have those data in the COVID-net surveillance
you.
platform.
Thank you.
Dr. Sanchez?
So, no, and I agree. I think that there's still a lot to be done with only 48% of women having received the primary series. But my question is about the granularity of the infant deaths, and are we capturing any on the multi-system inflammatory conditions in neonates? Is that, I know that might be a separate area, but I do think that needs to be included in terms of the pregnancy and neonatal outcomes. And as an aside, I'm also not surprised about the increase during the Omicron era, because we've seen also higher transmission to normal newborns during the months during the summer when Omicron was circulating. And our transmission previously had been only from mother to normal newborn, or to in the first few days, had been only like 1%. It went up to like 5 or 6%, and in these babies.
Thank you.
So I'll try to answer for that. Regarding the multi-system inflammatory syndrome in children, the death counts are from the National